If you feel like your training has been hitting a wall lately and that going to the gym fills you with dread, then the chances are you're probably doing the wrong training split. We all want to make progress and stay disciplined, but if that's coming at the cost of your enjoyment and your mental health, is it really worth it? I've been working out for nearly 5 years now, and when it comes to training splits, I've tried them all. From your full body split, to your push-pull legs, to your Arnold split, to your banana split. I've done them all. Whilst each of these programs definitely have their own list of pros and cons, the most important factor is whether you enjoy it or not. Because as with anything in life, you're not going to stick to it if you don't enjoy it. I can give you recommendations and tell you what works for me, but the only way for you to truly know what's going to work for you is by giving it a go and by process of elimination. Another point I want to make is that if you're a beginner, it doesn't matter which of these you choose. You're going to make good progress, and there's no point in fretting which split should I choose, because the most important thing is to take that first step and get in the gym, because I promise you it'll be the best decision you ever make. Right, so with all that in mind, here are my 3 favourite training splits for building muscle. So, starting with a personal favourite of mine, we've got the push-pull legs training split. The basic idea behind this training split is that your body uses certain types of muscles to do certain types of exercises. Therefore, it makes sense that you should train these muscles all on the same day in the same workout. So one example of this is the barbell bench press. The barbell bench press is a chest exercise. However, due to the way that the muscles work and help each other within the body, you're always going to get some form of shoulder activation and tricep activation when you're doing a bench press. So being as these 3 muscles are also intrinsically connected, it makes sense that we'll train them all on the same day. This will mean that they work together, grow together, and most importantly of all, they'll recover together. So this makes up the push element of our push-pull leg split. And as you might have guessed, it's called that because any movement that involves your chest, shoulders, or triceps will involve pushing a weight in any kind of way. There's a similar relationship that exists between the back and the biceps, only the difference is, instead of pushing movements, the back and the biceps specialise in any kind of pulling movement. Any kind of bicep curl involves pulling the arms towards the torso, and the same is true for any kind of back row or lat pull down. Lastly, we've got leg day, and again, the legs like to help each other out. Across our leg day, we're going to try and make sure that we hit our quads, our hamstrings and our calves sufficiently enough so that we make progress in all 3 of these areas. So the main advantages of a push-pull leg split are as follows. So the first advantage is the benefit that you get from targeted training. Because you're hitting the similarly grouped muscles all in one day, you can ensure that you hit them grouped muscles with more intensity and therefore get more gains. So the second benefit of the push-pull leg split is the recovery time. If I hit legs on Monday, I know that I don't have to hit them again until Thursday, or maybe even Friday if I take a rest day in between. This means that you get ample recovery time, and you know that when you next target that muscle group, you're going to be able to come at your fullest and you're going to be fully recovered. The last advantage I'm going to touch on is the improved frequency and training volume that you're able to get with this split. Being as you hit every body part in just 3 days, you can realistically hope to achieve hitting every body part twice in a week, which is more than enough for maximal gains. So now, some drawbacks. The first one is the lack of muscle specificity within your training. So if I'm doing a push session and I know I'm going to be hitting chest and shoulders, some might say that if I'm hitting chest first and, like I mentioned earlier, pre-exhausting with the bench press, I'm not going to be able to hit my shoulders as hard because they're already going to be pre-exhausted from some of the other exercises. Whereas in some other splits, you might see shoulders and chest on a separate day, for example, so that you can really focus on just the specific muscle. And then another drawback is the intensity of this training split. Going to the gym 6 days a week and only taking 1 rest day can definitely be very taxing and perhaps not very suited to a beginner. So that's definitely something to bear in mind if you're thinking of doing this training split. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the next training split, and that is the full body split. The full body split in many ways is the direct opposite of the push-pull legs. Instead of targeting specific muscles in specific workouts, you hit every muscle in every workout. Now this might seem pretty counterintuitive given some of the information that I just provided you. However, the full body split is much simpler, requires much less training volume, and because of both of those, is also much more beginner friendly. So the main advantage of the full body split is that it's easy to follow, it's easy to understand, and anyone can give it a go. This ties in well to the second advantage, which is that it's very beginner friendly. It gives you a good way of trying out different exercises and building up a good foundational knowledge of lots of core exercises like the bench press, the squat, the deadlifts, etc. Now in terms of some of the drawbacks of the full body split, well firstly, the recovery time. If you're hitting every muscle every day, then there might be some days where you're training your chest and it still hurts from the last workout, which for me is a really big drawback. And the second drawback of the full body split is the lack of training volume. If you're hitting every muscle in every workout, there's not much room for doing many reps on chest or shoulders or triceps individually, so naturally you're going to get less volume in over the week. And similarly, you're also going to have much longer workouts because you've got much more to fit in, which for me just isn't going to work. Now lastly, we've got the Arnold split. Named after the absolute unit himself, this is the training program that Arnold Schwarzenegger used to follow during his glory days. The principles are very similar to the push-pull leg split, however the 3 days are organised as chest and back on one day, arms and shoulders on another day, and then legs on the final day. This split puts a much greater emphasis on shoulder and arms, which are given a whole day just to themselves. Often, in some of the other workout splits that we've looked at, shoulders and arms are just chucked to the back of a session, and therefore aren't as given as much attention as they possibly deserve. Whilst many people take Arnie's word as gospel, some science-based lifters point out some flaws in this program, and it's not as if by following the Arnie split you're going to somehow turn out looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Not without some vitamin S anyway. So the advantages of the Arnold split, as I touched on before, are mainly with regards to the shoulders and arms, which are given much more emphasis and aren't just chucked to the back of a workout as they are in some of the other splits. The other two advantages of this split are the same as the push-pull legs, in that you get a good amount of volume and you get a good potential for recovery. Now, one of the drawbacks to the Arnold split relates to that first day in which you've got to hit both chest and back. These are both major muscle groups, and therefore that first day could end up taking quite a lot of time. Another point against this way of training is that you'd have to hit shoulders right after you've hit chest. And as I alluded to in the beginning of the video, you fatigue your shoulders when you work out your chest, so there's definitely some potential for injury and overtraining of the shoulders. Finally, in order to put all the checks and balances in place for the Arnold split, it's a very complex program and requires some high level knowledge. I've tried not to insert too much bias into this video, but it's undeniable that the push-pull legs is my favourite training split. However, with that in mind, I do definitely change it up quite frequently as to avoid boredom, because if I get too bored and something becomes too repetitive, then my training is going to suffer as a result of that. Each of these splits have their own merit, and you're going to have to assess what your individual goals and needs are in order to pick the right one. Even after doing that, I'd suggest that the best way to learn which training split works for you is to just try it. You're never going to know until you try, so you might as well just get a good experience on all of them, as I have, and then you'll naturally gravitate towards your favourite. That's all from me today. I hope this video was helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you want to see next. Thanks.